Hello, pumpkins, Cellar crowd here. This is my third vlog. And I realize that, some of you don't like the fact that I am doing vlogs, and that is actually understandable. There is something boring about the fact that when somebody starts talking about comedy, because comedy is supposed to be just funny, and when you start reflecting on it, it becomes pretty much boring. I understand that. But I'm still going to do this because I really want to build up this community about Cellar Crowd, and I want to talk about some of the things that I've been thinking about for a long time. So I'm sorry that I'm not going to stop doing vlogs. My suggestion would be if whenever you see that I have a vlog in the title, just don't click on it if you're not interested. I'm totally fine with it. You don't have to like everything that I'm producing, right? But if you don't like the vlogs, but you're still clicking on it and watching it, I don't know what to say to that. I'm not a very confrontational guy. There's things that I'm really trying to share about what I've been thinking about Cellar Crowd tradition for a long time, and I'm literally just trying to share them with you and want to hear what you think about them. And this is pretty much all I'm trying to do here. Just if you don't like it, don't click on it. I think that should be the end of the issue, right? Okay. So today I want to talk a little bit about what I think about basically this interesting relationship between what I consider as cellar crowd tradition and fame. The reason that I've been thinking a lot about this is because cellar crowd, as I said in my first vlog, is a peculiar tradition that mostly operates on the fringes of the society, and it basically can only survive when it remains on the fringes of the society. But if that is the case, the question that's very interesting to me is, don't we also want to make it known to other people, right? And there is a dilemma there, because you want to preserve it in its own authenticity and it's in its peculiar culture almost. But at the same time, you want to disseminate this culture and make other people also know about it, because this is a very valuable way of doing comedy. And I know that many comedians in that tradition basically struggle with that very question for very understandable reasons. And again, Patrice is a very, very good example of that. He was sick of doing road comedy. I mean, anyone who's a little bit familiar with stand-up culture is that comedians don't really like being road comics because it's a very, very, very tiring practice, in the very initial stages of their profession, it's totally fine to travel all the time and fly. But after a while, it gets quite old. And we know when Patrice hit his 40s, he no longer really wanted to do road comedy. He didn't want to be a road comic precisely because it was very tiring, and the kind of lifestyle that goes with it, like the kind of food you eat, and then staying in the condos that are not very clean, and the kind of treatment that you get. Basically, you want to transition slowly from being a road comic to just basically playing in big venues, similar to basically people like Louis C.K. right now or Chris Rock. So Patrice was pretty much caught up in that dilemma because he wanted to be famous. And in Opie and Anthony, there was this many funny question that, has fame called you yet? That was a question that Opie asked Patrice on a regular basis. Has fame called you yet? And Patrice would go like, not yet. No, fame has not called me yet. And this actually conversation became more and more pertinent after he did Elephant in the Room and the Charlie Sheen roast, because then he actually was in a transitional point in his life, unfortunately, right after before his death, his coma and then his death, that he knew that he had this opening for him where he could transition from being a road comic to more famous and a little bit maybe more mainstream, right? But that is exactly the question that he was dealing with. What kind of a popular, famous comedian am I gonna be? And am I gonna be able to preserve the uniqueness and the authentic character of my funniness and my jokes and my edgy jokes by being famous? What kind of compromises am I gonna make? Because as we know, Patrice was not really into compromises, and he actually did burn many bridges because he was anti-business. It's that simple. So here I'm gonna play a clip that gives us a very good indication of what actually he thought about comedians that were famous and basically successful, right? And I think he has a very, very good observation about the successful comedians. And the main point there is all those comedians are not universal comedians. They have a specific group of people that they appeal to. Okay, let me just play the clip, and then I'll talk about this a little bit more.
Yeah. Who are your black people? Who would you say your black people?
Yeah, I want to know your black people.
Oh shit.
Oh.
God damn, man. As a whole, I don't like positive black people, and I don't like fucking nigga shit.
Yeah.
I'm in between, so whatever that is.
Wow, what is
you
that?
know, like
What is that? Is right.
I enjoy, like, Jamie Foxx is a very
In between.
a guy that's like he's worldly, he doesn't hide it, and he's not corny. I don't like black guys who go, well, I'm trying my best to. White people are watching, and then I don't like niggas like I eat script, and I was like, nigga, like, it's script, nigga, and fucking spell the THE, nigga. Stop putting DA as the. It's just like it doesn't make you the shit. So I'm I'm stuck in between, man. Like it's a weird thing, you know.
Your audience is what? Your audience is mixed or mostly white or half and half?
Oh shit, man! Mostly white people.
It is?
Yeah, because I did a lot of white shit when I started, but I'm trying to get some black people. I got a real underground, good black following.
Yeah.
But they ain't coming out like this, like they see Cat Williams. They like, it ain't like Patrice is in town. Because I'm like, if those black people knew me when I was in Minnesota, that's what have filled up the other 200 seats that was missing.
I'm the same way with Asians, right? Like the FOBs, fresh off the boats, they hate me.
Really?
Yeah, and then
really?
the other ones that go to MIT, you know what I mean? They hate me. Right, so there's a small group that likes
The ones who have fingered the ass of retards. Anyone who's been raped by somebody with an extra chromosome.
Like the Fast and the Furious ones, like
Yeah. The Tokyo Drift ones love me.
See, I'm learning something because I would assume that every Asian comes out to see Bobby Lee. I would just assume.
No, when I'm in Seattle, San Francisco, it's a great time. You know what I mean? But it's like,
But
Bobby doesn't represent this. Is what Russell?
Oh my God! You gonna attack me again?
No,
Oh
Russell,
man, come on.
Russell Peters somehow is the voice of
Indians.
Asians. Like
Yeah.
they go, oh. And when I say Asians, the whole
thing.
India. So they go, this is our guy, and Aziz, that's our guy. Even though Aziz is a little more mixed, but like. For them to come out, it's like this. And that's who big comics are now. By the way, are the ones that just whoever they identify with come to see him. That's why Larry the Cable Guy, he's filling up 50,000 seaters with rednecks and shit.
But see, I'll perform and I'll see an Asian person who thinks, you know, they're gonna like me, and I can see in their eyes like this is not
possible.
Yeah, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah, this guy's not representing.
Yeah. He's not talking about, you know
How
what
do
I
you
mean?
see that in
What
those tiny eyes?
Yo, Tracy's not black now. Like, meaning Tracy's a fucking brand now. He's not just a fucking black dude.
.com says stuff every once in a while.
You have your own channel, right? Tyler Perry, the whole thing.
Yeah,
that's true. It's like, what are you complaining about? You have your own channel.
That's not my black people. That's churchy black. This is churchy black. This is somebody churchy black. When they have 3D, a hat comes out where you have to fucking give tides to the black church.
Give back your glasses, everybody. Give back your glasses.
So as you can see, I mean, here in the clip is that Patrice's observation is the following one. All the comedians that made it are the ones that are targeting a specific audience. And then the question comes down to who exactly is my audience? Do I want to do a kind of comedy where I target a specific audience and not just do the jokes for the sake of the joke? And I don't think he actually found an answer eventually. I don't think he had this eventual answer. You know, he asked, am I going to be a couples comedy because I'm talking about like relationships all the time? Or am I going to be just this comedian who only appeals to men from a certain point of view? I don't think he really figured it out. He was getting there. It was getting there. His comedy was getting there. But I think my point is that this main dilemma that Patrice O'Neal found himself in can be applied to other people in the Cellar crowd tradition. So I find this very interesting that this pendulum between retaining the authenticity of a Cellar crowd tradition, which always operates on the fringes of society, and also becoming famous. And how do you negotiate that? Some people do a better job with that. For example, Louis C.K. is someone who's able to disseminate his comedy in that way while remaining edgy. But there's still definitely that tension. So this is basically what I want to talk about, because this is something that I find very interesting. So please, in your comments, I would love to hear from you what you think about this. Should Cellar crowd try to be more mainstream, and how so? Or should we literally just remain this comedy type that remains on the fringes of society, and just with a following of maybe, let's say, 100,000 people? They're both fine options. I mean, I remember Patrice saying that, He's totally fine to have 100,000 dedicated followers who will just pay him $100 in his lifetime. He said that. So basically, 100,000 times 100, 10 million is done. If he had 100,000 followers who paid $100 to him, he would be completely fine financially, right? So he also had that in mind. Yeah, let me know what you think. You can just comment on this video. But also what you can also do is you can basically shoot your own videos and send them to me, cellarcrowd@gmail.com, and I can also add them to my other vlogs, so we can literally build up this community. And for haters, I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm really doing my best here to build up this community, talk about the Cellar Crowd tradition, and honestly just share my opinions. And if you don't like it, I really don't know what to say. I'm sorry.